Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. For those of you that are on the other side of the world, thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through this channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, stuff that I do every day in my own voiceover business, and then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a topic or two. And today's topic is something that we kind of touch on it, but we don't really talk about it. And I think we should, because if you've been dipping your toes into voiceover or audiobook narration, you probably already know that it can be a little bit lonely. You know, you're in a padded room talking to yourself. And sometimes, family, spouses just in everyday conversation, people don't really understand what it is that you do. So having somebody sort of, understand or can empathize, or, if you need to talk to somebody about what you're doing, sharing your successes, your failures, they don't really understand. And even sometimes for you audiobook narrators, we get into content that can be rather dark, right? And just as, TV screen actors do when they're method acting, you need to get into that dark place yourself in order to perform and get that content through. And sometimes it has a lasting effect. And unlike TV movie actors, for the most part, they have people around them for the most part, but voice actors, we're in a room by ourselves. And through the journey of becoming a voice actor, audiobook narrator, it's, again, without the support and having a community around you, the motivation might not be there. You might feel like maybe you can't take that step forward because you fear the success. You don't really know what's going to happen. Or maybe you don't take that step forward because of fear or failure. Either way, it's fear. And you don't really have anybody immediately around you to, give you the push, give you the little bit of, attaboy, let's go get it. So it can be a little bit difficult. And I do want to start this conversation saying that I am in no way, shape, or form any kind of medical professional. So this discussion today is just for educational, community purposes only. I'm not here to diagnose or anything of that nature. And if you do need, if you feel like you need some additional help, then please seek medical advice. This is just a community topic that we're talking about today. So we don't feel so alone, I suppose. Before we get into the poll, which I should probably put on the screen, today's poll is, if I can get the button to click, there we go, is what do you struggle most in your VO career? Is it imposter syndrome, support from family or your spouse, staying positive, or you're just feeling stuck, or are you just have that good old comparisonitis, which is also a form of imposter syndrome, but, sometimes we struggle with some aspects more than others. But I can tell you for myself, I've been doing this now for almost 8 years. And I have been in this industry on both sides with, immediate family support around me in my home and without. And it definitely helps either way. And you've always heard me say this, but have a community. Join those Facebook groups, join masterminds, workshops, peers, make friends in the industry. Yes, you can. I'm an introvert too. Yes, you can. I don't want to hear you introverts saying no. It's too people-y out there. Guess what? You don't have to go anywhere. You just stay in your little booth or download an app on your phone and start to engage on social media. Again, find those groups for the support, information, training, education. Get uplifted if you need it from your peers and those groups. To the poll. So far, we have about 30 votes, and 30% of you said imposter syndrome. 3% of you said support from family or spouse. And then 50% of you said staying positive or feeling stuck. And 17% of you said comparisonitis. I totally I can relate to the staying positive and feeling stuck. I think that is another aspect of imposter syndrome, really. Maybe not all three, but staying positive and feeling stuck. I think for the most part, we do it to ourselves. I think it comes from, or the solution, I should say, is really what helped me anyway, is mindset. Is just getting rid of the burden of analyzing everything I do and say with a negative lens. Meaning, everything that doesn't work out for me was meant to not work out for me for one reason or another. Perhaps you auditioned for a few books if you're an audiobook narrator, and you got maybe 3 offers to produce audiobooks, and one of them didn't work out for whatever reason. I see that as it wasn't meant to. I see that as I was meant to focus more of my time on the other 2. Or maybe something was going to happen along the way with that third one that wouldn't have been good, that wouldn't have done any good for me in one way, shape, or form. It wasn't meant for me ultimately. So I see everything as, not to sound cliche, but, it's meant to be or not meant to be. And if you can look at everything through that kind of a lens, that everything is meant for you will find you and stay for you. But if it's not meant for you, then it will remove itself. And if it doesn't, maybe there's a lesson in that you needed to learn. Right? And I think you'll find that that's true. In everything that doesn't really turn out that great, maybe within that challenge was something that you needed to learn for the betterment of yourself, for your future self, right? To make your life better going forward. That's sort of how I have to look at everything. And once you can get into that mindset, it's a huge relief. Because I'm not overanalyzing everything anymore, which in turn reduces a little bit of that imposter syndrome. I'm not saying that it ever goes away, but it takes work. It takes work, and the first step is recognizing that you're doing it. Right? I think that's the hardest part. I don't want to do it because what if I succeed? I don't want to do it because what if I fail? I don't deserve where I'm at. I'm going to be found out as a fake, as a phony. Sooner or later, somebody's going to say, what in the heck are you doing in this industry? You don't belong here. In the 8 years that I've been doing this, no one has ever said that to me. It's all in my head. It's all me, you know, allowing my own inner voices to tell me that I wasn't worthy of being here, or no one's going to want to listen to my voice, or whatever it is. Yeah, I still cringe at the sound of my own voice. I don't like listening to my own stuff, most of it. But ultimately, and it comes down to auditions too. When you get turned down for audition, you know, get turned down, you get turned down, you get turned down, you go, what am I even doing here? My voice is really crappy, or my audio quality, whatever it is that you feel is the problem. And most of the time it's not true. Ultimately, it's not up to you. It's not up to you the opinions about your own voice. What you think about your own voice doesn't matter at all. It's up to the client to decide whether or not your voice fits or not. It's not up to you. So your opinion about your own voice does not matter. It doesn't. I've heard so many times where people say, oh, my voice is too nasally, or I have this weird accent, or I have, and when I say weird, I mean it's like a amalgamation of different, maybe they've traveled around a bit and it's sort of like a mishmash of different accents and isn't really classified as a one particular accent, something like that. You know, nobody's going to like me because of X or Y. No one's going to like my voice. That's you pigeonholing yourself into a place that you don't need to do that, because it's not up to you. It's up to the client. So just take that right out of your head. And also Caesar had a good point, and I'll get to the comments in a second, but just as a side note, if you think getting a effects rack is going to fix whatever's wrong with your voice, get that right out of your head too. Because whatever makes your voice different is a good thing. It sets you apart from everyone else that could sound similar to you. That weird accent or that, nasal quality of your voice could be the thing that makes you marketable and hireable and makes you successful. Don't hold yourself back because you're telling yourself that you can't or you won't, or because of, whatever. That's you. And once you recognize that you're doing that, you can take steps to shift your mindset and focus more on like how glorious your future could be. Do all the steps that we talk about in these live sessions. Focus on learning your DAW. Focus on improving the quality of your audio. Focus on your performance. Get training. Do all the things and you'll be just fine. Market. Work at it. Take it seriously. And again, that comes down to your why. You got to take this seriously. And if you do, you will eventually reap that harvest of your labor. But you got to work at it. It's really what you put in is what you get out. And some people might have a specific niche market, and the challenge is just finding it, right? But you can't find it unless you're actively searching and doing it, right? So all this to say, you won't know what's going to happen unless you try. So we've got an awful lot of comments, so let's get into the comments. And if you have questions, or if you want to share insights, or perhaps what has helped you, or any kind of challenges you might be, facing at the moment, then please share them in the chat. And we'll go through them and see if we can help and share the good as we go along today. So let's take this off the screen and let's go over to the comments. We had a couple of people commented that was even before this live chat started. Let's see if I can see. Oh, no, I can't. They're behind the pinned comment. Oh, darn. But there were a couple people here that came in, I think, yesterday. So first in that I can see, anyway, is Caesar. Hey, Caesar. Given that I've gone through all of the 4 ills mentioned, it was hard to pick a perennial favorite. But I guess imposter syndrome is the most reoccurring, despite moving rapidly up. And Caesar, I think Caesar is, do I want to say that you're a prime example of what could happen if you just allow yourself to step outside that comfort zone and apply yourself? Because once you did, you skyrocketed. In the past, I've been sidelined while others took credit for my ability. Now I struggle with the burden of being able to credit myself for my own successes. Being with supportive community helps. It absolutely does. For many reasons. Over time, I've stopped being angry at myself for making mistakes. You got to recognize that you're human, right? We're not perfect. You know how much I hate that word. Don't consider yourself don't strive for some ideal, focus on what you can do, your strengths and your weaknesses, and apply yourself. You got to do it. And you're going to fail along the way. And again, if you do fail, it was a lesson that you needed to learn. It doesn't mean that you're down and out forever. Just pick yourself back up and get back to it, right? Adapted kinesthetic learning practices, laughed at my wildest failures, and that's the best medicine too, laughing at yourself. Just laugh. And patted myself on the back for my successes. Good. I think that is something that would really help too. And we say this quite a bit here on my chats, but is to celebrate your successes. Celebrate even the smallest step forward. And if you want to, even journal them. Write them down. So you can go back in those hard times, and instead of focusing on this ideal version of yourself that may not be completely reality, right? And then, be hard on yourself for not achieving that yet. You can go back, measure your success going backward. Go back to where you first started on those little notes that you made to yourself. This is what I did today. I created my website today. I created a profile today. I recorded my first demo today. I learned my DAW today. You can go back and see how far you've come and celebrate that. Because as you all know, this isn't something that's really super easy. It's not like they say in those social media posts. Do you guys still see those? I think those, for the most part, have stopped, or maybe I just blocked them out of my algorithm. I don't know. But, you can't just sit on your iPhone in your PJs and record and produce an audiobook. We all know that by now. It takes time. It takes a lot of training. It takes a lot of investment. So, but celebrate all those wins. It's important for those days where things are hard. Working with others has taught me to be patient and kind, and also to be patient and kind to myself. A lot of this comes from being a part of your nurturing and supportive group. Well, you are part of that nurturing, supporting group. Caesar. That said, hello everyone. Remember that an FX rack isn't designed to fix your voice. Sorry, the AC just came on. That's imposter syndrome talking. It simply carves a clear path from your voice to your DAW. Nothing else. Right. Don't try to fix your voice. There's nothing wrong with your voice. Maybe if you... there have been some people that I've worked with that aren't quite naturally articulate, perhaps, and just need to learn to enunciate a little bit more so words come out clear instead of all mushed together, right? But that can be taught. But if there's like attributes to your voice that set you apart, don't try to fix that. That makes you special. It makes you different. Lisa says, good morning, Lisa. Good morning from sunny Alberta. Have not been here for a couple weeks and have missed these weekly chats. Glad to have you back. My struggle would be imposter syndrome. My first audiobook has been approved by the rights holder. Good. Just waiting for ACX to approve. I'm hearing that they're like 30 days right now. I guess depending on how large the book is, but up to about 30 days. So that's exciting. Heck yeah, it is. My imposter syndrome flares up when the rights holder tells me how much he loves hearing my voice, which in any other context would come across as creepy. Right. And get that right out of your head. Although I understand. I understand the cringe factor of hearing your own voice still creeps me out too, but I love hearing your voice. That is kind of creepy, isn't it? But it's good though. That means that the rights holder is happy. Your client is happy, and that's ultimately all that really matters. Right? Our opinions don't. They don't. Kat says, good morning from Washington. Caesar, you are also knowledgeable and support and share that with the group. Yes. I'm struggling with burnout and PTSD from my previous career. I'm trying to be kind to myself and be present in the moment. VO is new for me, and I'm enjoying each part of it. Burnout is definitely something that we need to talk about too. Again, there is a lot to building this career. There's a lot that goes in it. There's a lot of learning. There's a big learning curve. Investment, time, training, the whole thing. And it's easy to burn yourself out if you go too hard. Or if you're in a place, because I personally have felt pretty close to this recently in trying to manage all of this by myself. I mean, mind you, I have no assistance. It's just me. It's just me running my website, running my groups, running my mentorship program, running, all my social media, running these live chats, running my own, doing all of the recording and editing and all the things that I do. I do everything myself. And every once in a while, I have to take a step back because it is a lot. I mean, maybe that's just me and my control issues, but I probably really need to hire somebody to help me out with some aspects of this, but it's a lot. It's your constant 24/7, basically, even though, I try to keep work hours. That's one way that I have really kind of curbed burnout is allowing myself work hours, meaning that I'm open from 9 to 5. So in the mornings and in the evenings, I can spend that time with, my family and doing things that I enjoy to sort of decompress. I don't work weekends unless I have to. Otherwise, I'm with my family and decompressing and doing other hobbies and things. Every once in a while, I'll answer an email or answer a question from the group or something like that. But I'm trying to allow myself time to decompress so I don't burn out because it is a lot. So allow yourself to take that time. Now, if you're in the stage where I was a few years ago when I was still building, and I was going really hard, meaning I was working full-time, working about 50, 60 hours a week, employed by someone else, and trying to get this business off the ground. So I sacrificed a lot of time with my family, but knowing the entire time that it was temporary and what I was working toward was going to pay off in the end. Because my why was very strong, and that was to ultimately create my own schedule and have more time with my family and be a present parent, right? So giving yourself breaks, giving yourself the extra time that you need when you need it. I mean, listen to your body. If you're feeling really worn out, if you're just not feeling the voiceover thing today, take the day off if you can. Or do the most important things, whatever the priorities, the have-tos, do those and then take a half day if you have to. You're the most important part. You're the most important aspect of this business. So take care of yourself, listen to your body, and take a break if you need to. It's important. Caesar says, thank you to Kat. I'm glad I can impart some knowledge to others too. I too went through PTSD. Please remind yourself that you are valued and that you matter. Move slow but steady. And if you do find yourself, we've all been through some stuff. We've all been through some traumatic stuff in life, And it can sideline you a little bit. But the important thing to do is to remember, just as Caesar said, you do matter. You are valued. I mean, it might not feel like it in the moment, but you have a purpose in life. And maybe you don't see what that purpose is at that moment, but you have to keep going. You have to keep pushing through. You have to keep, one foot in front of the other, one breath at a time. No matter what it is, it will pass. It will pass. Whatever the trauma was, as sucky as it sounds, but it might have been for a reason. It might have been ultimately for your good, for something that you needed to learn or experience, right? As much as it may hurt in the moment, maybe it was something that was meant to be for your ultimate good at some point. It really just comes down to mindset. Kat says, I think motivation is questioning and learning your reasons beyond money for doing this. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Part of it for me is being able to read aloud to my father before he passed away years ago. And know that it was a comfort for both him and me. Oh, that's so sweet. There you go. Ken says, woot, another Albertan. Hi, Lisa. I'm still too noob to feel like an imposter, just learning still to be able to put down a good track first. I think I can. I know I can. Just to get it in the can. It was kind of rhymey. I liked it. Was that your intention? Was to make it kind of rhymey? And if you were struggling with creating that first track, with hitting that record button and you just freeze like a deer in headlights, there's a couple things you could do. What I suggest to people that I work with is to hit the record button first on your DAW, and then open up the copy of whatever it is that you're intending to record, read it out loud a few times, right? Find out where the inflection should be. Make sure that you understand the W's of the copy, right? Who you are as the narrator, who you're narrating to, and why you're narrating this. Take the time to understand those things so it comes across the way it's intended. Practice it a few times, and then give it the final take. And then hit end record. So that sort of redirects your focus from, oh God, the record button's on. You know what I mean? You're focused on something else. You're focused on the copy, right? That helps. Or you could do the 1, 2, 3 act thing, right? Or count to 5 even, if that helps. Hit the record button, count to 5, and then as soon as you're done with that 5, record the copy. Whichever way. I've heard they both work. They have both worked for me in the beginning. And then once you get it down and you're like, this is great, don't overanalyze it, don't over-edit it. Just go, yes, I did it. And then, do the light editing and things like that. Don't over-edit it, because that's really easy to do. You can do more damage than good if you're over-editing. And then send it off to wherever it's going to go, or just save it as a sample or a demo, and then post it. Don't think too much about it, just do it. Don't allow yourself to just kind of sit and marinate in that overthinking process. Just like one action after the other, and then mark them off on your to-do list, because that feels really good. Marking that stuff off. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning to you. Donnie says, staying positive and a little stuck is my biggest issue. The support of a group can help most times, but there are times of feeling like the black sheep can weigh heavy on you. Oh, for sure. For sure. There's so many different personalities and, the way that you were brought up and the way that you see things. I mean, everybody is different for a reason. I mean, you could be just that one little bit of spice in a group that, makes everything interesting. But you see yourself in the negative, right? Maybe you have a different perspective than everyone else does, and that's a good thing. Maybe you say something that someone else had never thought of before and could be the solution to their problem. And this is like in a group setting. If you feel like you're just like, I'm the weirdo, I'm the oddball, I'm the black sheep, whatever it is. Don't allow yourself to think of yourself that way. We all have different perspectives and approaches, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing to share that stuff even. Hang on. Be quiet, phone. Oh, and good morning. All got my coffee and, beef jerky. Good morning, all. I'm going to read that correctly. Got my coffee and beef jerky. That sounds like a heck of a breakfast, Donnie. Kat says, and I remind myself of other times when I accomplish something big or small that helps me to not feel like an imposter. Yeah, and keep in mind that, again, with the thousands of people in this industry that I've met at this point and had conversations with, I think we've all been in that place, especially when we're first getting started out. You feel like an imposter, like you're not good enough. You shouldn't be here. Look at all these other people, right? And then when we say all these other people, we're talking about Sigourney Weaver and Morgan Freeman and all of these major actors that are also voice actors, and we're comparing ourselves to them. And then as we start to meet new people, we're like, oh, I'm not Scott Brick, or I'm not, whoever it is, Anne Ganguza. I'm not that. You're not supposed to be. Those people have years of training and practice ahead of them, accolades and things. And not everybody is going to get to that place. You're just not. But if you want it, go for it. But, you can't compare yourself to someone who has got so much more experience in this endeavor than you do. But you are unique. You're in the beginning, and you can get to where you want to be if you put in the time and work. But you can't compare yourself to other people. That's like apples and oranges. Right? That's with any business. That's with anything. If I try skateboarding today on my son's skateboard, I'm not going to say, well, I'll never be Tony Hawk. Of course not. Of course I'm never going to be Tony Hawk. That's just silly. Right? So you're doing the same thing. And we've all done it. So don't do that. That's just silly. Rebecca says, good morning, all. Imposter syndrome is definitely my Achilles heel. Even in our supportive as heck group, I get that feeling of I can't believe I've actually got that job or they liked my sample. Yeah. And it's even funny is that sometimes when I do an audition and I don't really like the end result, I'm like, I'm just not feeling the way this came out, but I feel like if I retake this a few more times, it's not going to come out any different because maybe it's just not clicking in my head. I'm just not happy with this result, but it's what they're asking for. So although it doesn't feel right to me, and you send it in and you go, okay, I'm never going to hear from them. Or even when you're quoting prices, we do that with prices too. We undercut ourselves so much because we're afraid of them saying yes, or we just put in our heads that they're never going to go for it. Quote your prices, submit those auditions the way that, even when you don't feel that they're exactly right. There've been a handful of times where I've done that, where I've submitted that audition that didn't really quite click and I got the job. Or there have been times when I quoted an audiobook, a large audiobook, so it was a large number that I sent back to produce the audiobook, and I'm never going to hear from them again. And 24 hours later, they're like, yep, when can we get started? Right? Don't undercut yourself or don't limit yourself because of what you think. Just go for it. Quote your prices and submit your auditions even when you think that they're not right. Just do it already. Again, your opinion of your voice does not matter. Alicia says, "Hi everyone, listening on the way home from work. I'm the rain, you're in the rain." We had some nice rain here in Phoenix. It was so nice. Shauna says, "My auditions sound good enough, but when I work on book chapters, I don't feel they are as good as the short audition." Well, of course not, because it's so much more content. It's not going to have the same impact as a smaller, shorter piece. But again, if the rights holder liked the audition, then you did it right. Right? If you submitted that first 15 minutes of the checkpoint for the first 15 minutes and the author says, "Yep, beautiful, great. Keep with that same pace and tone. I love it." As long as you're doing what the client is asking you to do and what they've approved, then it's fine. Don't overthink it. Don't put yourself in that place of doubt, because it's hard. It's hard to get out of it once you're in it. Just keep pushing forward. Know that you're doing it right. David said, "Hello, Angela," from Hamilton, Ontario. Hello, David. Pamela's here. Good morning. Hello from Minnesota. Tanya's here. Hey, Tanya. One of the most beautiful voices on the planet. Evening all. Congratulations to Lisa. I know that feeling. My rights holder says he has my voice in his head while he was writing. Could be super creepy out of context for sure. Kristen says, "Good morning. I picked comparisonitis, but I feel like a more accurate answer for me would be all of the above." Yeah, for sure. They could all be, I think, apart from the family spousal support, like having your back and like listening to you and holding your hand and saying everything will be okay, right? Or that they believe that you can do this. I think apart from that part, I think all of those are forms of imposter syndrome. For sure. But again, the most important part is that you recognize that you're doing that. And then once you recognize that you're doing that, that you're, struggling with imposter syndrome or some form of it, then you can start to address it and celebrate that. Go, I know why I'm doing this to myself. It's imposter syndrome. I don't have to feel this way. I'm choosing to not feel this way. I recognize that I'm holding myself back because of whatever reason, because I'm comparing myself to Morgan Freeman. I'm never going to be as good as Morgan Freeman. That's just insane. I'm just going to do this the way that I want to do this, and let's see what happens. Right? But recognizing it is usually the hard part. Tanya says, "I suffer from comparisonitis. I see all these people who have produced 600 books, then look at my 3. Yeah? But you've also just started. And these other people, there's no way someone can produce 600 books in the amount of time that you've been doing this. So comparing yourself to someone who's been doing this for years, decades even, to someone who's been doing this for, how long have you been doing this now, Tanya? I mean, that's silly, right? I mean, if you think about it logically, you can't, that's apples and oranges, right? Caesar said, "My rights holder said my voice made her blush in the middle of a doctor's appointment." You have one of those voices, Caesar. Donnie said, "The solitude is one reason I decorate my studio, which helps me and makes it a little bit more of a happy place. Oh, and I am alone 90% of every day, which is why I took to this so well." Yeah, I think that's another reason why I bring all of these toys and things into my studio, is just to, otherwise it would be a room draped with blue and black. Pretty drab, right? So I bring stuff in here that makes me happy. The lights, I've got my little Funko Pops. I've got, I don't think you could see her, but there's Daenerys back there. I've got my truck, right? I've got just little things in here that make me happy. Because I'm in here a lot. So do it. Do those things. Make it your dream teenage bedroom, right? Have fun with it. Paul says, hi, Angela, and let me try that again. I speak words good. Hi, Angela, et al. Of all the poll options, I selected imposter syndrome, but I think my biggest challenge is simply finding the right projects. If you have something specific, like a sub-niche of a sub-niche, or if you mean right projects in terms of winning an audition in a specific, spoke of voice acting, maybe you were meant to do something else. Maybe try a little bit of a broader reach. Try some different things. I never in a million years would have thought of me and one of my best-selling voices or voiceover approaches as being meditation. Never. I wanted to be an audiobook narrator. That's what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. And then it sort of morphed and I started trying new things when people asked. And that's what it sort of became. Now I do a lot of meditation, hypnosis, and, things like that. That's, it's one of the things I do most. Never would have thought that. So maybe try a few different things and see perhaps that your voice is the perfect money voice for a different kind of voiceover. That's what I would do. That's what I say, Paul. Try some different stuff. What could it hurt? Masonry Construction says, my biggest struggle narrating audiobooks is for indie authors and narrators, there is almost no marketing by Audible. Authors and narrators must be involved or stop doing royalty share work. No reviews, no sales. Yeah, I think, but really, marketing for any book, whether it's a pay for production or if it's a royalty share, could be super easy to market on social media. Especially if you're an audiobook narrator who is doing a royalty share book or royalty share plus book, if you're sharing in the royalties of each sale, you should be marketing the heck out of that book. And the same goes for any other platform that you're currently on. Don't sit back and rely on whatever that platform is to market you. Their job is just to host whatever it is that you're presenting on that platform, whether it's your profile, whether it's your completed work, right? It's just like your website. You have everything about you, everything that's, all the content is on your website. There's your About Me, there's a contact page, there's your demo samples, everything is there and ready and available. But nobody's coming to it. Why? No one knows you're there. You have to market. You have to send that information out into the world to get that return on investment. And the easiest way to market yourself is social media, right? Go into Canva and create just a little static image that says, here, audiobook out today. Check it out on Audible with a link. Here you go. This is exactly where you can go to find it. We can't assume that everybody knows who we are, where to find us, and what we do. You have to market yourself. You just have to. Even if it was a pay-for-production book, it would behoove you to market that book too, just to allow people to see where you are, what you sound like, and how to find you. And it also boosts sales for the author. Right? It does double duty either way, pay for production or royalty share. It's good for you to market yourself. And using an audiobook is a really easy way to do that. So do that. Tanya says, I recommend a choir or a chorus. The right one can be great for vocal development, and it gets you out of the house and talking to people. Introvert, Tanya, it's too people-y out there. I don't want to, no. No. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong about the vocal development for sure. Also, we've talked about this before, but going out into your community, You know, if you're out grocery shopping, getting the car serviced, going to cons, you know, like comic cons or, you know, horror cons or audio or like book cons and stuff like that. Go attend those things because that also gets you out of the house. You get a little sunshine. Take your business cards with you and make some connections that way. Introverts be introvertin'. Lisa says, hello, fellow Albertan, to Ken. Donnie says, success is scarier than everything else. Why? Because you think you're going to be too busy or you don't want to be in the limelight. The good thing about being a voice actor audiobook narrator is that you can be mostly anonymous if that is the hang up. You don't want people to see your face. You don't necessarily have to. They have to be able to hear you and know where to find you for marketing purposes, like we just discussed. But, I mean, if you think about some of the biggest names in spicy book narration, if you think about like Joe Arden and Teddy Hamilton, if you don't go out and search, you wouldn't know what they looked like, right? You could be pretty anonymous if you wanted to be. I mean, in terms of seeing what people look like having people look at you, if that is what it is. You just have to think outside the box. Are you afraid of being too busy? You can schedule work. Having a lot of work is a good problem to have. Sage says, good afternoon, everyone. The pain from my injury is still keeping me out of the booth. But I'd say that for me, it's a combination of comparisonitis and imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's pretty typical. I'd say most of us do that. But again, recognizing that you're doing that to yourself, then you can go, okay, well, I'm stopping that right now. Really think about perhaps where those fears come from. And if we're talking about comparisonitis, going back to the Morgan Freeman example, you can't compare yourself when it's really apples and oranges, right? You have to compare yourself. If you're comparing, I don't think you should compare yourself at all. Really. I mean, everybody's journey is different. I mean, we all know that. But if you're comparing yourself and it makes you feel any better, compare yourself to other people that are exactly in the same place that you are. Not people that have been doing this for 10, 20 years, 30 years. That's just insane, right? I mean, you have to break it down that way to knock it off, right? To tell yourself to not do that anymore. And then the imposter syndrome, you have to go, okay, this is imposter syndrome. It's really fear. It's fear from this, or this. Where is this coming from? What am I afraid of? Why am I doing this to myself? And then address it. I would be remiss if I did not mention it, but I do have a Overcoming Imposter Syndrome course. I'm putting the final touches on it. I gave my platinum group like 48 hours to test drive it, and they gave me some great feedback. I'm making some final tweaks, and then it'll be available. But I think it's a good course. I've been working on it for months. But it has a way of sort of breaking these things down and helping you to overcome imposter syndrome and some actionable advice. I think it's good, but that's me. My cup of tea, try that again. My cup of tea says, I brought donuts. Thank God, I'm starving. Morning, y'all. Definitely get stuck in my head with VO, then just stuck in general. The overthinking will get you all the time if you allow it. Don't allow it. Don't allow it. Just tell yourself what I am doing right now is I'm not overthinking. I'm holding myself back. I am limiting what I can do. I'm doing this to myself. There's nothing wrong with what I've got here. It's an excuse to hold myself in this position because if I move forward, it's scary. For fear of failure, fear of success. Right? So just do it. Trust me. It'll all start to work itself out. if you just keep moving forward, good or bad. Caesar says, I remember winning first place during one of those platinum audition review challenges. I fretted for weeks that I'd be called out for being impertinent or silly. I think that is just silly in and of itself, Caesar. Silly. Put yourself out there. You might just be the hero. You know, you might just be the perfect voice. And here you are sitting here hating on your own voice, hating on your sound, but somebody out there is going to love it, and it's going to be exactly what they're looking for. Lisa says to Tanya, thanks. The book I recorded is actually a 12-book anthology. Wow. So I'm hoping the rights holder will hire me to voice a couple more of these series. Holy smokes. Tanya says, hope you're on the mend, Sage. Tanya says to Lisa, nice. Wishing you all 12. Yep. I think we all are. Get that 12. Get all of them. Sage says, whenever I listen to the playback, I can't get over that it's my voice. Not feeling cringe, just feels weird hearing my voice. Do you ever get over this? Again, like 8 years later, almost exactly 8 years later. No. It's still weird hearing my voice outside of my head. Now, unless you're in like some of the younger generations where they grew up with social media and making video content, it might be a little bit easier for them to hear their voices. It's a little bit more, they've been broken in a lot earlier to hearing their own voices than some of us older generations have. So for us, it's weird to hear your voice outside your head. So yeah, I don't know if that ever completely goes away. I guess it just depends on, unless you're just in love with yourself, you know, if you have more self-confidence than some of us do, then maybe it's not so cringy. But for me, introvert, cringe. Paul says, I think it's also important to remember that for audiobooks, the rights holder and or the author is not the end client. The person who buys and listens to the book, they're who you ultimately need to satisfy. I partially agree with you, because to the wider audience, you're never going to appease 100% of the people 100% of the time. You're just not. The general audience, they all have their own preferences and opinions and the way that they like to take in information. In an audible format, they might not like a certain narrator, the way that they talk, the way that they sound, the way that they do this. 100% of the people, 100% of the time is not something that you're going to achieve. And I'm not attacking you, Paul. I'm just generally speaking. I think ultimately, if the client is happy with your voice, that is what ultimately matters, because that is what they intended for their project. Now, there has been a little bit of buzz on TikTok about, was it Nevessa Allen's book? She has two books out. One of them was one set of characters, and the second book was a different set of characters or a different male lead or something. And then people were all upset about the different characters or the narrator being changed. But they were missing the point completely. It was a different set of characters or something to that effect. I haven't read the book, so I'm not entirely sure, but that's the gist of it. And so the audience was upset. So I think as long as the author or the rights holder is happy with what the product that you have produced, that is ultimately all that matters, because that was their vision. The audience may not always see or hear or understand or be aligned with that vision, and that's okay. But we are aligned with what the author wanted, what the rights holder wanted, and I think that is more important. Donnie says, I am one of them that came in yesterday, just super excited to talk to my people. Oh, yeah, he commented yesterday. Eric Grimes. Hey, Eric. Hi, amazing Angela and all. For me, One of the most valuable things to help with a lot of these issues is the Platinum group. So supportive, informative, and educational. Great way to improve with help. I agree. And I'm a little biased, yes. However, I have to tell you that my Platinum group is amazing. It's made up of amazing people, and they're not Morgan Freemans and Sigourney Weavers. We are all people with a common goal, sharing our experiences, lifting each other up. It's people of all different experience levels. Everyone is welcome. You don't have to be, you could be just thinking about starting voiceover and join the group, or you could have been in voiceover for 10 years and join the group for just the community support. We take everybody. So as long as you're willing to invest and maybe even lurk if you want to, there's no real limitations on who can join. It's there for the community support and then learning and growing together as we go along. So I agree, but I'm a little biased, but thank you for that, Eric. I'm glad it helps. Sage says to Tanya, thank you. Recovering from a dislocated shoulder, ouch, is actually more difficult than I thought it would be. Also, the older we get, the more difficult these things are, right? It's not like when you're 16 and you can just knock it back in and move on with the rest of your day. It's, aging. Also, it's my right shoulder and I'm right-handed. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's a little tenderoni. Gregory says, citizens of the land of Angela, I bid greetings and salutations. So funny. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, folks. I brought donuts. Sweet. Hydration. Caesar says to Sage, one day at a time, Sage. Please focus on recovery first. Work will always be there for you when you're ready to return. You're not wrong. Interestingly enough, I'm starting to like it when the rights holder praises my voice. A little bit of confidence boost, right? A little attaboy. It means I performed well, or my multi-hour struggle to do an accent or portray a character type paid off. Yeah, for sure. For those of you that struggle with accents, that's always a good indicator that your hard work paid off. Sage said to Caesar, thank you. I'm not good with resting, but being injured is quite humbling and teaching me to slow down and take care of myself. Yes, especially if you are a parent. You get that mom guilt. You get I just need to be doing something. There's something I need to be doing. We get into that, and not just parents, but I think a lot of us do, especially if there's family that you need to take care of. We are just so busy taking care of other people that we neglect our own needs and our own bodies and our own time to sit and recover, right? So again, take breaks, take days off if you need to. Listen to your body. It's okay to have a little self-care time. It's okay to do that. We need it. We're not meant to be working 24/7, every day of the year. That's not sustainable. And working is even domestic labor. It's also, running here and there. It's doing all of the things that we do in a day. Sometimes you have to take a break from that. And it's good for the mind. It's good for the body. Allow yourself the time to do that. Gregory says, I have many health issues that I have to work around. It's easy to envy the healthy, but we all have to figure out how to get things done and make things happen. We set our own limitations. Exactly, Gregory. Everybody, screenshot that and put Gregory's words on your desktop. Maybe cut out my face. Just put his words on your desktop. Perfectly stated. Don't take anything that you have for granted, is another way of looking at that too, right? Don't compare yourself to, that orange if you're an apple. Just do what you can with what you have and be grateful for what you have, even the smallest of things. It's easy to take things for granted. Tanya says, what are these weekends of which you speak? I know, exactly, right? I always lose track of what day it is. I get laughed at by my son. I lose track of what day it is all the time because no windows. I'm in a cave. I know. Donnie says, also knowing which fork in the road to take next is probably my biggest issue of all. Also believing when someone tells me I did a good job is still a struggle for me. I don't think anybody's going to lie to your face, Donnie. I think you have been in our platinum group, just as an example, for long enough to know that if something needs to be improved upon, we'll tell you. We'll give you suggestions or say, hey, try that one more time, but, picture yourself in this scenario or whatever it is. I think you know by now that we're not going to say, hey, good job, participation trophy. We don't do that. If there's something that we think that could be improved upon, we're going to do it for your own betterment, for your own good, because that is the purpose. That is the purpose of the group, right? So when you get accolades, when you get, that was great, Donnie, believe it. Or for any of you, believe it. Caesar says, weekends? Weekends. We don't need no stinking weekends. Donnie says, even after a year and a half, I still have issues. I mean, I get it. I totally get it, but just keep going. Keep going, because you're doing something right. You're getting hired. Joy says, hello, everyone from sunny Southfield, Michigan. I would have to say I have issues with my spouse at times and have to get that hammered out. Well, it sounds like that nail needs to get hammered. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I can see that especially if you're just getting started, I think the family spouse situation, they have to see that this can actually be something, right? Because again, I think for the spouses involved, they have the same sort of vision that you did in the beginning, whereas they're going, you're going to be sitting in this little tiny room that's probably covered in clothes and moving blankets and pillows and things with a microphone, and you're going to be doing work like Morgan Freeman. How are you going to make that work, right? It's the same kind of thing. But when they start to see your time and your investment and, they might even go, oh, how much money are you spending on this thing? But if you can tell them that this is my ultimate goal. This is what I'm working toward. All of this stuff that may not make any sense to you now, I promise you, this is all going to be temporary. All of the time that I may have to spend away from you, all the time that I might need your help with it, help with the kids or whatever it is, this is temporary because this is my ultimate goal. This is what I'm working toward. And this is what, in reality, it could be. Because Angela said so. Right? Kidding. But you have to explain to them what, or maybe even show them other people that have started in a similar circumstance than you and where they have got after. But then they have to understand that it took them a while to get there. Yes, but it's possible if I put in the time and effort and do the training. And if I spend this money now, I can reap the rewards of that later, right? Everything that you invest into your business is exactly that. It's an investment. You can't make money without spending money. Most of the time, right? So they have to see progress. And then sometimes that progress is going to take time. Or just kick him out of the room, Joy. Caesar says to Donnie, bounce those options with others. Some of us may have an idea of what could potentially fit you. Maven says, my imposter syndrome has been kicking in the most when authors aren't communicating or responding to messages quickly with projects that are already in motion. I think everything will fall through. Yeah. That is a great point. And I think when there's silence, we think the worst. We allow ourselves to think the worst when there's silence. But then if we take a step back and we say, okay, me as an individual, these are all the things that I have to do in the day. Sometimes life just lifes. Sometimes that you forget to pack that lunch for school, and then, oh God, I'm out of turkey. I got to go to the store to get turkey for the sandwich to make this lunch. And then, little Jimmy's got to get to karate class, and then little Susie's got to go to her swimming lessons. And oh my God, I forgot to do this. Everybody goes through that. Everybody gets busy. This project that you two are working on together may be a big deal. Yes, it could be like a major milestone for that author. And it could be, yes, a very big deal, but they also have lives like we do where there's a lot of other stuff going on and they just can't give constant feedback or can't respond immediately. I mean, how many times have you just had your email open, your email service open, just sitting there waiting for an email to come in so you could respond right away? When was the last time you did that? Probably never. So authors are the same way. Clients are the same way. They have other stuff going on. They have lives to live on their own. Right? So you can't allow yourself to overthink and fill in the silence with bad things because they're probably not true. So just focus on making the project that you're working on the best that you can make it. Instead of, keep your mind busy. What's the saying about the idle mind? Don't allow it to be idle. Keep focusing on the project or positive things. Or go take a break and take the dogs for a walk or something. Listen to some uplifting music. Something. Don't allow yourself to overthink. Donnie says, the Platinum Group has been so patient with me because, man, I do have issues. We all do, Donnie. We all do. They all do. Donnie says to Caesar, I definitely will do that, sir. Thank you. Dylan. How you doing, Dylan? Hello, all. Just stopping by to say hi before I go watch my youngest graduate kindergarten. Yay! Tell him we said congratulations. All of us here. Congratulations, little guy. Kay last name says, hello. Thank you for the encouragement. I'm nurturing. And I know you are too, Angela. Must be why I'm drawn to be here. A healer, a light worker. What are the other words? I think you know it. If you know, you know. Perhaps. Caesar says to Dylan, that is so exciting. Congratulations to you and your youngest. Yes. Ken says yes, but I am a poor poet. Got a giggle though. So success. Yeah, you're rhymey. Rochelle says, good morning, Angela and all. I agree with the PTSD and rejections are hard not to take personal. So rejections on auditions, I push forward. I'm at 32 auditions, 8 rejections, 1 came close. I mean, and that's still, so what would that be? That would be, what is 10% of 32? Roughly, you're going to get about 10%, and this is just with all sales jobs. Roughly, you're going to get about a 10% return on your investment. If you're way past that ratio, let's just say you've put in maybe 200 auditions and maybe got 1 okay, then maybe that's time to join a group and get some feedback. Maybe your audio quality is just, maybe you've got some echo in there. Maybe your microphone is completely turned the wrong way and it just sounds weird and you don't know it because you're just accustomed to it being that way. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what the issue is. You're still learning, right? You're still in the learning stages. So if that's the case, then you might want to get some feedback. Get some feedback on your performance, get some feedback on your audio quality. And again, for the most part, everybody in this industry is very, very supportive and helpful. Not everybody here is out to just, drag you through the dirt. That's just not, most of the people, 90% of the people that I've met in this industry are very helpful and supportive if you ask for help. Help is available if you're willing to receive it, basically. But roughly a 10% return is what you can expect, right? Because your voice isn't going to be perfect for every project. You just have to understand that fact. But it is perfect for that right client. And you have to find that client by auditioning. So the more auditions you do, the more opportunity you have to cross paths with that client who is looking for you. So just keep auditioning. Don't let the rejections get you down. It's just hey, this was a great audition. However, your voice wasn't really the one that I had in my head while I was writing this. So, right? But you did a great job. But they're not going to tell you that. Of course, they're not going to tell you that. But you have to understand that's what it is. When you're rejected, it doesn't mean you suck and you should get out of this industry. It means you weren't the voice I was quite thinking of when I wrote this copy. Okay, so go audition some more and find that client that is looking for your voice. That's all that means. Right? Mindset. Caesar says to Dylan, man, I remember my kindergarten graduation speech. Oh, God. It went something like, I want to thank Mommy and Daddy and Mickey D's for their French fries and ice cream. Donnie says to Rochelle, keep at it and you will get that first book. Absolutely. Eric says, it is important to remember that there is Pinky One You. Your combination of voice, experiences, interpretation, and everything else is unique to you. Only, I think he meant only. There's only one you. Exactly. Caesar says, hey, did somebody say being the spice in the group? No, Caesar. Caesar says to Eric, I'm putting that on a shirt. There is a pinky one. You. Voiceover by Forever Young says, good morning, Angela. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining our chat today. Yes, yes, spicy Caesar. No ice cream for you. See, or Dylan says to Caesar, better than my kindergarten graduation speech. I want to thank my parents and, of course, my wife and kids. Nels wrapped this up. You guys are comedians. Tanya says to Donnie, I could listen to your voice for hours. I'm just a black sheep kind of gal, I guess. Donnie says to Tanya, thank you, and I feel the same about yours. Yes, I think a lot of us think the same about your voice, Tanya. But, Donnie says, I want to do this full time so dang bad. It drives me crazy sometimes. Yes, everyone knows I am crazy anyway, but this is on another level. No, I don't think so. Nope. You just say things that I think a lot of us are afraid to say. But I don't think you're on no. I think you're on the same level as all of us. I mean, in terms of crazy, level of crazy. Because you got to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur. Just a little bit, right? Voiceover by Forever Young says, I can't choose one over another. My choice is D, all the above. From Nancy. Yeah. I mean, but you have to say, okay, which one of these is most troublesome for me right now? If it had to be one, if I had to pick one, what would it be? But you're not wrong. It most of the time is just D. All the above. Callie is here. Good morning. Good morning. Donnie says, click the like button or I will become your neighbor. Hello, neighbor. Caesar says, I can do... Mr. Rogers just popped into my head. Spicy Caesar says, I can do 600 books in the span of time I've been doing this, but I'm going to have to start charging per finished second. Tanya says, my first audition was the end of January. And you're comparing yourself... Okay. So, 5 months. So you've done, what was it, 6 books in 5 months? And you're comparing yourself to someone who's done 600? Are you crazy? Stop it. That's just silly. Donnie says, oh, and I should probably not design this from my teenage years, and I won't go any further with that. Going back to just as a point of relativity. Now, I'm not a full-time only audiobook narrator. I do a lot of other things in addition to audiobook narration. Audiobook narration is not the only thing that I offer. It's not the only service that I offer. However, in 8 years, I have produced somewhere between 250 and 300 audiobooks. So for someone to do 600, that means that if they've been doing this for 8 years, that's probably all they've been doing. Because you also have to remember, audiobook production can take some time, about a month, generally speaking. Again, depending on how big the book is. if you're saying roughly a month for every book, how could you possibly compare someone to yourself that has 600 when you've only been doing this for 5 months? I'm not picking on you, Tanya, but I'm just as an example of comparisonitis. It's just if you break it down and look at it logically, it doesn't make sense. And you shouldn't do that to yourself. It's just, it makes no sense. Louise says, I like what you're saying. Thanks. Donnie says, your success partially depends on the work you put into it. Don't depend on someone else to do it right. Right. I mean, you have to think of this as you are the business owner. Every business needs to market itself. We don't rely on, you can't rely on everything else to propel your business forward for you. Your business has to be carried along and pushed along by you. You can't sit back on your laurels and just go, oh yeah, my website's done. The work's going to come streaming in. It won't if nobody knows it's there. You have to market it, right? Nikki says, one thing I'm surprised I didn't hear about until it happened to me was the fact that ACX provides free codes for royalty share books. Yes. And those are for reviews. Those are for sharing with people to get honest feedback and start to build the reviews of the book. And if you, unless ACX changed something, if somebody decides to purchase an Audible membership using one of your links, then you get the bounty. There's a bounty for that too. So double check me, because I'm pretty sure that's still the thing with ACX, but go to ACX and look at their FAQs on that just to be sure. But yeah, there's a lot of little things that people don't typically know about ACX. Nikki says, I haven't invested in marketing and social media just yet, but I plan to go on Reddit and advertise that I have free download codes for my books. Such an easy way to network. Yeah, and remember, you only have a handful of them. Right? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? But that, yeah, I think I'm getting sidetracked in my own head. Overthinking. Caesar says to Tanya, I would totally join a choir or chorus. I think I have the grin for it. Oh boy. Tanya says, absolutely, Caesar. You have a grin that would make the Joker proud. Caesar says, comparisonitis can be tough. I think of Teddy Hamilton and feel sad he doesn't sound like me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Teddy. Donnie says, oh, speaking of wins, I was in the grocery store and mentioned that I had done a few audiobooks, and she literally bought every one except my first one, and that one stays in the dungeon where it belongs. Masonry Construction says, I agree completely with what you said, what you just said about the importance of narrators and marketing. My point is to encourage others because the real work in narrating or writing just begins upon publication. I mean, it's a lot of work either way you look at it. It's a lot of work to finish a manuscript in and of itself and then to produce an audiobook. I mean, it's all a production and should be celebrated. Lisa says, LOL, to people. I tell people that my job is to sit in a dark room and talk to myself all day. Introverts unite. Yes, we should get matching bracelets. Matching jackets. Joy says, that's the thing about work. I would love to have a lot of VO work because I'm at a crossroads. I have offers to do some work as an extra, but I don't have the travel money, but I can do the job I hate. Hate's a very strong word, Joy. I can scream. I love being an extra. Make some sound bites or something and offer those sound bites to platforms that sell audio bites. Just an idea. Joy says, I love being a voice actor too. Being an extra is my summer job, but that's cool. Kelly says, it is an odd thing to become more aware of your own voice and how you sound. Hearing myself talk now, sometimes I hear myself say something in the same way as one of my recordings and it causes me to pause. It's like a deja vu. You're like, where have I said or heard this before? Oh, yeah. And voiceover is very educational, especially if you're a voice actor like myself who does a lot of e-learning jobs. You learn something new every day. You learn how to pronounce a very hard, technical medical term, or you learn about nutrition. You learn about, it's awesome. You just become a fountain of useless information. Maybe not completely useless, but if you're in a conversation with someone and they bring up some obscure topic, you're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's awesome. Jennifer Dixon says, the community in the Platinum group is amazing. I'm a wallflower and always feel welcome and accepted. So happy to be a member. And again, with the Platinum group, you don't have to participate. Of course, you're encouraged to because it's only for your betterment. But I don't call people out if they don't participate or something. If you want to come in and lurk and just listen, then do that. If that's what you're comfortable with, participate if you want to. I understand. Rochelle says, the one book that came close was still encouraging. The rights holder gave a wonderful compliment on my voice, so that's something that keeps me going. Keeping faith for that first approval. Yeah, keep at it. You'll get it. Voiceover Van Deen, how you doing, buddy? Afternoon all, toasting you with tea and ginger snaps in the UK. That sounds good. Self-limiting beliefs are the most limiting of all. They're ever present and hold you down even when others are praising and building you up. Yes, it's up to you to take the compliment. I've never taken compliments well. I'm just one of those, again, introvert. I shy away from the spotlight. So you're like, why the heck are you on YouTube? Because I'm driven. I don't know. But I always had a hard time taking compliments and would quickly change the subject and things like that. So when but it hits a little bit different when a rights holder gives you compliments. But when you're in a group setting, much to Donnie's point, if you're in a group setting and someone gives you a compliment, you're like, you're just being nice, right? So, I mean, it's could be easy but either way, it's how you determine how you take that compliment. If you just allow it and go and say thank you, or if you shy away and change the subject and, no, you're just being, whatever, you're just going to fight it. That's all up to you. It's all up to you and how you receive it and how you act, right? How you take it. It's up to you. Jennifer says, I'm going to use that now. LOL. Angela said so. She's the boss. I mean, if you need to. Angela said so. Steven says, Caesar is hilarious. Per finished second. I love being part of the Platinum experience last week. My biggest challenge is my voice changes over the day. Yep. I pretty much find that most of the time I record right about now, sort of mid-morning, like a few hours before lunch, and then early afternoon. Anything other than that, it's either too low and groggy or it's a little bit fried. Right? So right about now is my prime recording time. And that's normal. That's normal. So don't tell yourself that's a problem. It's normal. By evenings, I sound more like Angela. Well, that's awesome. Don't be impersonating me, though. Don't be trying to take all my work, Stephen. Lisa says, I feel so very blessed that I am able to do this job and have an amazingly supportive husband. Even though it is his corner of the closet that I took over with my studio and haven't earned a dime yet. I love that you included yet. Yet. That was the most important part of that whole statement. Awesome that you have a supportive spouse. Not everybody does. And that he allowed you to take up his side of the closet. Awesome. Kudos. Give him a high five for me. But you said yet. You haven't earned a dime yet. Yes. Mindset. Positive thinking. Absolutely, Lisa. Good job. Congratulations, Dylan. Rebecca says to Rochelle, I was rounding the corner to 50 rejections before I got my first acceptance. You never know when it's going to click. Keep trying. Yeah, I shouldn't try to text while driving. It's okay. You made another funny. Oh. I got too crazy with clicking. Caesar said to Eric, that's a great way to hurt your pinky. Callie says, I am so ready to start auditioning and at the same time having so much anxiety about getting everything right when I do get hired, not wanting to disappoint the rights holder and exposing how green I am. Yep, and all of that is you. You're allowing all of that to overcome and overtake you and limit yourself from moving forward. Kathy, where did I get Kathy from? Callie, with all due love and respect, stop it. You're doing it to yourself. Just put that audition out like you were born to do this, right? You have to have a little bit of that confidence. Even if you don't really, just pretend that you do. I think ultimately that's what I had to do. I was like, okay, I really want to do this and I love doing it. And you have to cast out all of the other voices where, you know, your audio quality is not good enough. Your performance isn't really up to snuff. No. I am the Mac Daddy. I am whatever it is that you want to call yourself. I was born to do this. I got this. And send it out. And even if you don't get the job, you still did it. You still submitted the audition. And for most of us, that's the hardest part, is exposing ourselves, making ourselves vulnerable to, you know, unseen forces. I mean, if you break it down again, logically, you're making yourself vulnerable. You're laying yourself bare in someone else's face and saying, here, what do you think? And we're afraid of the response. But if you think of it in the way that if they respond negatively, it wasn't meant for me. If they respond with a rejection, it wasn't meant for me. If I get a response, hey, I love your voice, let's do this book, perfect. Awesome. I'm excited about it. Let's go. So it's all mindset and how you allow yourself to think about whatever comes in. It's how you react to things is what you can change. You can do that. Not you, Callie, specifically, but you, whoever I'm talking to right now in YouTube land. You have the power to take whatever is happening to you or said to you and set it in a positive direction, or to not limit yourself. I feel like we've been here for an hour and a half. I'm just like pontificating on everything. But don't worry about any of that, Callie. Just do it. You can't get past the green part without getting past the green part. Right? None of us were Morgan Freeman on day one. Morgan Freeman wasn't probably even Morgan Freeman on day one. He took some, you know, what's the expression I was just looking for? He had to take his licks. He had to get through the training. He had to, you know what I mean, fall on his face several times and get back up and get back at it, just like anybody else trying something new. So just do it. Nikki says you can get a certain amount of codes per country or market. If all of them end up being used, they say you can request more. Yeah. Yep. You get 25 US codes and 25 UK codes, and the bounty codes are separate. Ah, okay. Shauna says, does anyone work on more than one book at a time? I was offered a contract to start a book while I was still working on my first book and didn't think I could deal with 2 at a time. You could do it either way. I would say it would depend on the content and the length of each book. If you could do them like simultaneously, not literally, but if you can bounce between them without affecting one or the other, I mean, do it. I would, if they're on a time crunch, that would be the only reason I would do that. Otherwise, schedule them back to back. There's nothing wrong with telling the rights holder that, you know, based on my current workload, and it could be 1 book that you're working on, it could be 5. Either way, you're saying, based on my current workload, I can start your book on X day, and allow yourself a few days, a week between the two. You know, always buffer your time to delivery a little bit so you can have that downtime if you need it. Or if you get sick, a kid gets sick, you just need a couple days off, or you just need to rest between books, whatever it is. Side note. And then I can start your book on X day. There's nothing wrong with that. And actually, it makes you look like you're in demand. Not a bad thing. Shauna says, as you do more books, is that something people take on, doing more than one project at a time? Absolutely. Voiceover Van Deen says, compliments are easy to accept if you already have a response at the ready. A sincerely voiced thank you that's very kind or much appreciated, spoken with a genuine smile, are my go-to. There you go. Just pre-program that into your brain if you have to. If someone pays you a compliment, instead of shirking it or whatever, just say, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind. Take it. Lisa says to Shauna, I agree with you. I didn't audition for anything else until my current book was finished and submitted. Didn't think I could split my brain too much. Joy says, Lisa, we got the same setup. Donnie says, typically I'll start auditioning when I get about halfway mark on my current book. Joy says, I love being a voice actor, but the job I might have to do for money is in pharmacy. I mean, you could do them both, Joy. Do them both. Callie says, LOL, I like the I was born to do this. Why not have positive delusions rather than negative? Exactly. It's all how you look at it. That is all sound advice, though. Thank you, Angela. Of course. Kat says, remember the saying, if you fall on your face, you are still moving forward. I like that, too. Kelly says, word, can't get past the green part without getting past the green part. Exactly. You can't. Right? Simple. Nikki says, let's like the vid. Thanks for giving us your time and creating such a nice space. Yes, that is why I do this. That is exactly why I do this. Because there needs to be these spaces. There's not a whole lot of places where we can do this on a public platform and have such a wide reach and see that it's not just us afflicted with this fear. It's not just us feeling this particular way. It's a common thing and it's okay. What is important is recognizing that you're doing it and then working towards solving the issue or working to change the way you view these things. It's all up to you. It's all up to you and how you receive the information and how you interpret it and how you then move forward. It's all mindset. It's all your mindset. It's all your decision, your choices. So I'm glad we got to talk about this today. We went on for a long time, and I don't know if you guys can hear my stomach growling, but I'm starving. But I will be back next week, next Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. So if you're watching this in Team Replay, please consider subscribing. It really helps my algorithms to push my face out in front of everybody else who's looking for this kind of information. If you're still on the live stream, hit that like button. I appreciate it. If there's something that you guys want to talk about, I mean, this was a great conversation. I appreciate whoever brought it up. I don't remember who, but if there's something that you want to talk about or ask, then do it. There's no dumb questions. Remember, there are no dumb questions. We've all asked them at one point or another. We just might not admit it. But if you have a question about something, then please ask it. Could be something we talk about in a future live chat, or I might make a video on it. So, yeah, let me know. But otherwise, everybody keep pushing forward. And remember, you can't get past the green part until you get past the green part. I'll see everybody next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to She Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.